All right, everybody, away we go. Welcome to today's call. It is Friday, December 15th of 2017. Winding it down. Looking forward to 2018 and already working hard on it. Had an interesting meeting with my team today, some of my rookie agents, and one of the things that I want to do before we start the exact sales training call is remind all of you that if you are a member of a team, you are welcome on our bi-monthly Q&A calls to help you build your book of business within that team. Those are very organized training calls about how to get your strategic marketing in order and your strategic conversion. That's the 1-2 punch that we have everywhere in the mastermind class, and we go over it and over and over trying to develop a management perspective. That doesn't mean that that doesn't accrue as a necessity to everybody. You really need to think about getting in there and putting your financial goal in and early and often and knowing it. Because look, everything that you do from a sales perspective is geared towards trying to get you into a rhythm to meet a number. Hang on, guys, 1 second. Let me just double check that you guys can hear me. You guys hear me okay? Guys hear me? Check, check.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, hang on 1 second here. Got a little something going on funky here. Let's see.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, something a little weird there. I don't know what's going on with the recording. Okay, let me just reiterate that. Sorry, 12-15-17 sales training, TRC. That's for the recording's sake. Okay. All right, so Chris Kleba, you're on the hot seat with your team here because we chatted a little bit before this, and I have some concerns as people bring on this concept of team in any form or fashion, right? When you say the word team, there is a very particular meaning towards that in somebody's mind's eye. And I'm going to tell you that I think it can be very dangerous. You have to be very careful what definition of a team. I think the most dangerous one is when you team up with another agent. Let me think who said it to me. Kate on my team said that somebody wanted to quote unquote team up with her. So I don't really know what that means and why you would do that. You can encourage each other. That's one thing. But to actually team up with each other and split commissions, you're just losing so much leverage in the both of you tying your rafts together, sure, but when you blend them, you actually slow down your revenue production. So the way that I see it is, as a broker owner, let's take that cap off for a second, I'm not looking to go out there and teach an agent to team up with anybody other than the company, the education, and then build a culture that's supportive of each other. Because you just can be, when you have two human beings who are following a strategy, you can be in two different locations at once, meaning one could be out with a buyer, one could be out with a seller. And again, if it is, I guess, a husband and wife team, then you can pool all the money anyway. So that's great. But from another standpoint, you'd have to have a really good reason to team up, meaning maybe somebody's really, really, really good at inside sales and they're going to do that part of the assembly line. And somebody might not be so good at outside sales and the other person is, and they're going to go do that. Now that works. Okay? Because you are sequentially in a system of conversion, helping each other get more production. That helps. And I like that. And I think that definitely could work because obviously I do that. I have two people now, quote unquote, on my team. But remember, everybody's doing something differently. It's a different skill set. It's not a melding of the two. And I think that's really, really important. So Chris, tell me a little bit about how you guys are recruiting down there. And Josh and Charlene, I want to hear from them and how they're set up.
Josh and Charlene, are you on the call? I'm here, yep.
Okay. All right, so I was speaking to you guys knowing a little bit about that you guys do meld some things together. So tell me a little bit about what you're thinking, and I want to tie it more so to your goals this year, and I want to prove to you what I was proving to some of my own agents today. Go ahead. Tell me a little bit more about the background, Josh.
So, Charlene and I, it's actually our first year in real estate. We
Yep.
just want to know a little bit about how we do things in our background as far as recruiting or...
Yeah, no, I want to know, do you split your deals? How do you guys do it? Tell me a little bit about it. How are you set up?
Okay, sure. So I would say 80% of our business is Boomtown.
Yep.
We, I probably make, I would say, 20, 30 calls a day at least minimum. I try to hit, if I can, 100, but it's been difficult just because, you get so busy. But I mean, Boomtown is ultimately where we get our business. We do a lot of, leads from our sphere of influence. We're big on social media. Charlene keeps up with just about everything from Instagram to Facebook to Snapchat, all that stuff. I know that sounds crazy, but we get a lot of leads through that.
No, I don't think it's crazy at all. I think those are all mediums we're all trying to figure out. I think you're spot on. But let me ask a very direct question now that you gave me a quick background. Who is responsible for selling? Since today's a sales context, and you two should definitely be on the next campfire when that becomes available. We're going to run into Christmas when it's due the next time. But you should definitely be on the next one, and I will talk to you about how to organize those strategies. You can't just do those as a random pattern. None of it sound out of the realm of what's important, and you should do them all. But what my thought is more so about sales. Chris tells me that you guys go out and do the sales together. Is that accurate?
Yes, when we can, we try to always be together. Especially our first appointments, we like to present ourselves as, Charlene has things that I don't offer, and I have things that she doesn't offer.
Okay, why?
So
Stop.
Stop. As a package, but
yeah, hold on. Stop. I need to know what that difference is before you go on. Sorry to cut you off, but what I try to do in these calls, let's micromanage this today because it's really important. Because here's what just went crazy in my head listening to this. If we have a formula to follow on the sales side of it, which I believe we should, and we do, okay? There is a universal formula for buyers and sellers that we teach here, and I think that is universally appealing, and that everybody in there should be able to follow that formula. So what do you mean specifically that she does something you don't do? I mean, because I want to separate it out from strengths versus formulaic process. So tell me where you were going with that. Sure.
So I think, there would be a few things, but one in particular is she can really, when she's walking through houses and we're showing these properties, she has, especially when new buyers come in and they want to do some different things to the property, she can see those things that really I can't see.
Okay.
Walk the husband and the wife through the property and kind of say how this would look and that would look and really get them extremely interested. So she has a vision that I just don't have. And I'm more, I go in, I'm the icebreaker, get them talking, really open them up. And so they're very, very comfortable with Charlene and I. And I do that more than she does, really. She's, a little bit more reserved when it comes to that.
Okay. Good. Let's grab onto that nugget for a second because I like it to one extent and I can't stand it to another extent. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I get that. Some people definitely have creative vision. Other people don't, and they have it black and white. But if we begin to lean in on that, let's just pretend you didn't have each other for a second. What would you do? How would you solve that lack of creative vision problem in the context of going through things? That's one beat I want to hit there first. The next beat is, I'm thinking to myself, why does he need to quote unquote get them talking? Because that sounds as random as anything could be. And I'm going to hit two beats with you. So let's start with the first beat, right? Go there first. What would you do if I forced you to go on a listing presentation by yourself? Do you think you could get it without her? And if yes, why and how?
I do, yeah.
Cool.
I mean, maybe, could I do it as well? I don't know. But, I mean, I'm not afraid to jump right in and just, say a couple of things as far as what I see and my vision and see if I can relate to what their vision is and kind of tune in,
Yeah.
I did that before. I just didn't do it as well as Charlene can do.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is, I guess, she has her strengths, and I feel like there's several, but, that in particular and, her numbers and knowing the market, extremely well. All of that marries into how we both attack our clients.
Okay, great.
But Danny, to answer your question, I feel like I could do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Who somebody was trying to...
20 seconds worth of info to that.
Go.
Josh and Charlene are the perfect match, and this is why. Josh is the hard charger.
Do we lose him?
And the ultimate rapport builder.
Yep, good.
Like, Josh can walk into a room of 100 people.
Yep.
And be best friends by the end of the night with 15 of them, right?
Yep.
Charlene's a little bit more reserved, pays attention to detail.
Yep.
And makes sure that everything is done correctly.
Yep.
And I can add to it, but in a nutshell, that's why they're the perfect match.
Okay, good. But so what? I'm going to play devil's advocate here, right? So what if I want to expand the business? Because I think what can happen is what I'm hearing at a deeper level. I'm hearing that level of insecurity that maybe I can't do what she does and she can't do what I do. And that's why I'm forcing them into a situation where I'm saying, hey, that sounds really comfortable to me. There's the security blanket, the Linus blanket is there. And if we're going to get better, we got to get a little bit out there where we're not comfortable being able to talk about this. Okay. That's where I'm going with this. And again, you guys can continue to do it, but I'm going to only suggest that do it, but not if you're losing time leverage. In other words, if you two sat down and you encouraged each other while you're making inside sales calls to the Boomtown leads, and then you definitely should be doing what I'm suggesting to Chris, which is add in that seller side of your business because you're newer and the real business works from listings on the way out. Okay. It's fine that we know lead gen.
We've added them to that, Danny.
Okay, good.
Full access to the Vulcan 7.
Okay, good. All right, good. So now we have lead or contact information, Josh, for both sides of the business. That's critical. That's important. So you're leaning in on both of those sides, and I think that's fine. But the next thing is, if you two want to support each other, inside sales is probably the easier, more leveraged place to do it because now you're focused on helping each other in that conversion module or prospecting. I'm working very closely with Paul Mahalowicz's team in Birmingham, Michigan, where we're really trying to help them understand how does the business really work. And as you start to want to expand it and make more money, gross more revenue, increase that GCI, and you have two people, you're losing leverage the minute we go outside and you both go to the same one, unless there's nothing else to do. Let me clarify that a little bit. If you two say, hey, we need the discipline to follow up with these expired leads and these internet buyer leads to create either trash, meaning there's no opportunity there, or prospects, then we'll do that together. We'll support each other. We'll learn from each other. I'll listen to her, talk about creative when she hits that beat. She'll listen to me about how I'm a little bit more of a rapport builder and I'm a chameleon on the phone to match their tone, find the common interest, whatever. You can learn from each other hearing, but you're both getting better. Now, if there's limited opportunity to go out to the house, that's great. You're a 1-2 act, that's great. Some of the greatest comedy acts in the world are, Penn and Teller, for example, right? I mean, there's a comedy act that these guys just can't exist without each other. I don't love that for real estate agents that want to expand their business because as you get busier, we want to leverage your 168 that you have, each one of you. So in other words, there are times where we combine those hours, but if we don't learn to, in the context of our business hours, split off, she goes out there, you go out here. Now we're talking about doubling the revenue. Let's just assume we're going out to the same sized opportunity. You're doubling the revenue. You following me, Josh?
Sure, absolutely. And
right?
That's our goal this year is to double what we did.
Yeah.
And we know,
yeah.
I mean, to speak on that, we know that we need to divide and conquer. And
sure.
that, honestly, Danny, it's her first year. She kind of just jumped into it.
Yep, cool.
And we're really finding out, how we do things best. And, we did have a lot of downtime where, why not come on this appointment together? And so that's just kind of how we approach things
awesome.
For this first year. I mean, I'm not saying our goal is to do 12 million and we'll probably come slightly short of that, but we want to double it next year. And we know that if we're going to double it, we got to divide and conquer.
Yeah, by the way, one of my personal goals is to get you guys to all stop looking so heavily at the millions that you do and more at the actual gross commission income you generate off those millions. Because as we know, commissions are negotiable and they vary market to market and deal to deal. Take a hard look at the real commission money. And I'll show you why on a campfire call where I can break it down. But we just did this with the mastermind and I did it with my team. It becomes very important to talk in terms of gross commission income, and you'll see why as we go forward, right? Because it's so far easier to take a look at gross commission income, the average sale that's actually happening in Lake Norman, the average sale, and then to take that and multiply it times, for example, what blended rate did you really get this year? On some you got 3 beans, on some you got 2. You see what I'm saying? So we get a real rate of return, so we can find an actual model to build off of, and that's where I'm going to be going with you guys because it is a sales starting point. See, we're always trying to sell something based on what we believe or our perception of how the business works. And that's exactly why most realtors never get what they want. Because they don't start with a simple, people think goal planning at the end of the year has to be some big, deep thing. I'm going to sequester myself in the mountains of Tibet and I'm going to meditate until the plan is there. No, you just pick, here's my GCI. Here's the average sale that in the marketplace I really want to do business. Here's the rate of commission I believe is an actual one based on what Chris has done over the last 5 years. I can look at what he got. I can look at what I got this year and make a model based off of that. That'll tell me the average commission I can expect, and then I just divide that into the GCI goal, and I have transactions. Done. Now, I said that, and I didn't demonstrate it, so I know, and I said it quickly because I want you all to get the narrative and understand how sales goals in real estate agency are actually quite simple and realistic. You can very, very quickly get there. But watch out for all the industry speak that isn't necessarily benefiting you. There is a very clear and simple way that our business goal planning works. So here we go. You tell me, what do you and Charlene want to hit for GCI? And I'm going to show you. I'm going to get into that second beat that I didn't like. You get it. You get where I was going. Don't lean on each other so heavily that you won't be able to stand on your own 2 feet and split up when you get busier. That's my only point there. Nothing wrong with teaming up and tag teaming. But there is a bigger problem I heard there. I didn't hear a strategic approach. Okay. And so I want to lean in on that because I don't know if Nick is on this week, but Tanyel Spencer has been training her team in Denver, and he had a very interesting result that he shared with us last week that I want to lean in on. Right? By the way, Nick, are you here by any chance? Or Tanyel? Okay, we'll see if we can get them. But I'll tell you the anecdote myself. But the point, Josh, is that you see where I'm going. I'm believing in your own expansion already. I'm saying, Josh, you will double your revenue. And I'm here to help you on December 15th of 17, so that December 15th of 18, we didn't only get it, but we had an opportunity to exceed it. Because what you'll find is the foundational pieces of this sales setting goal, you will absolutely get there. There is no doubt about it. But if we don't set a simple sales goal first, then we don't get there. You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So give me the number. And somebody help me with math. I need a calculator, somebody who's sitting down. I want the math there so we walk through it. Okay, cool. Doug, you're in. So go ahead. Give me the number, please. Josh, you, number.
Yes.
Gross commission income goal for next year is what?
I would say like 230, 240, somewhere
okay, cool.
in there.
Oh, cool. Own that. Number one, when you say the number, own it. You want to make that such a big thing. See, what we focus on expands. I got to give Oprah credit for that. That was the first time I heard that said. What you focus on expands in your head. So every time you think business, the starting point or the way, the point that I'm shooting for way down there, 12 months from today is $250,000. Say a nice fat round number. That's the one that you're looking for GCI. Don't hesitate. The next time I or anybody else asks you, what is your financial goal for revenue? Because there's a lot of other goals financially we have to deal with. But your revenue goal is 250 and you have 2 people to do it. That means each person, if they're both involved in sales, only, he said, has to hit 125,000. And I say that with all confidence because I teach people who are doing anywhere personally, not even their businesses, from 400 to 650 at the high end. Okay? And I'll show you how they get there. So it is very easy for me to know exactly how each of you gets to $1.25. But if we water down too much of time and we don't leverage it with systems and 2 salespeople, you have a massive advantage over Tony Legendry, who has the exact same goal. And he was very clear, 240. He has a very clear number in his mind. And he's a full-time captain of a fire department in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So see, I have all sorts of anecdotes that I can give you where people with formulas and plans reach it no matter what the obstacle is. The ones that I can help get successful are the ones that don't make excuses for themselves. And they know their number. So now you own 250. We don't have to go 230. 250 is a round number because I have a whole bunch of people that I coach that have hit that. And I'm teaching them the difference between that and 4 to 6. Okay? You with me?
Yep.
Cool. Now, we take the 250,000. I need to know, and if you guys are in front of a computer or you have it, what is the average sale? Not yours, but for, and I'm assuming if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Your marketplace, the way I understand with Chris, is Lake Norman, North Carolina. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. The area within which you see again, it's like I hear yes, I know yes. See, I'm trying to help you get to.
Well, we're all over the place,
good,
Danny,
good,
right now.
good.
Justin and I, we go everywhere.
Good.
To get to where we got to. We haven't. I mean, we're trying to hone in our business at
Good.
the lake, but I'll tell you, I go to Harrisburg.
Attaboy.
I go everywhere.
Attaboy. I like it.
Charlotte.
This is what I'm looking for, a real conversation. You at the moment, because you're just getting going and you're less than strategic, you're more muscle. My goal here at the TRC is to start to move everybody, no matter whether they're beginners, sophomores, veterans that are, atrophying. I'm trying to get you guys to be more strategic about what you do so that you can do more in less time. But good for you, dude, for going anywhere it takes to get it done and get it moving. Now, I'm taking that lump of clay and I'm going to cut off some fat here. So stay very focused. You have to trust me at this moment and believe me that I get a good technician. I can hear them. Chris is one. Okay, so your mentor, Chris Kleber, is a very good technician, but at the mastermind level and helping grow a team, he has to know how to share this with you, and he gets it, and that's why he wants to pass it on today. He's getting pushed by me to also be more specific about marketplace. Now, when we're marketing or surviving, there's 2 different things. You will go anywhere to survive in the business early on and make your living. That's fine. We all do that. I started with 2,000. I just saw my old mentor, the guy that took me in, Chris Coy, when I first started at a closing, okay? And we were reminiscing. My business plan back then, brother, was give me 2,000 business cards, a desk and a lamp, and I'll bring the Army helmet. I was a lunatic. And I thought at that time, my office was Cape Cod. Now, if you go from the top of Provincetown to the tail of Falmouth, that's about a 2.5-hour drive. So when I say it now, it sounds absurd to me. So Lake Norman might not be big enough to support 250,000. You see how I can tie that together very quickly? You with me?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how do you know if it is or it isn't? How do you know if it is or it isn't? You go into MLS and you look at every single family sold, all of them, in Lake Norman for the last consecutive 12 months. And you're going to get a number of transactions. I'm going to guide you to say somewhere between 500 and 1,000 transactions means 1,000 to 2,000 sides that are available. If it's not in that range, it's too small. Most likely for a marketing purpose.
More than 5,000 days.
Yeah, more than 5,000. It's plenty big. In fact, it's too big, right? For marketing standpoint, when we start off. See, most real estate agents who need marketing advice that helps them get people to sell, okay, that's the way the business works. You can never do a sales call, Josh, without considering how will you market your sales service. You can't. You can't unpack it like that. It's not realistic. So what I'm saying is that you've got to get very specific about where you want to sell. Because if you get used to being muscular, you will be on that needle that keeps you going, acting like an addict for the next deal. And that is not strategic. It's random. It's muscular, and you will ebb and flow with your energy. That's not acceptable. At least on my watch, it's not acceptable. I need to protect you all from that happening. So how we do that is you get specific about where they are and you begin to market to them. So let's just suffice to say you have boomtown buyers. I guess a lot of those are going to come from online. They're going to be coming from another place to move to Lake Norman versus moving within Lake Norman, or am I wrong? Are the majority off of boomtown, Chris, coming from outside the area?
I'd say 50-50.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree with that, Josh?
Yes, I would say the majority is coming from outside the lake.
Okay. Outside the lake. And do they want inside the lake geographically? Is that what they want?
I mean, in my experience, from what I've seen this year, no. That's why my business has been everywhere, because they're wanting, I mean, all different areas outside of Lake Norman, Charlotte, Metro, everywhere.
Okay. You see exactly the problem here, don't you? You see me starting to reveal to you the problem, Chris and Josh? You see what I'm saying? You following me?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me.
I do.
Tell me before I tell you, Chris, what is the problem here? Why is
the target where Boomtown is not setting us up specifically for the lake?
You got it. Amen. And this is where you cannot get away from marketing decisions that we make. That's what has you, Josh, running everywhere, is that the birth of that lead, we need to communicate this clearer plan to our affiliates like Boomtown and say, look, you keep getting us stuff that makes me run outside of a place where there's already 5,000 transactions. There's already 5,000 right here. So why are you bringing me in a lead source that takes me outside of the place I want to fish, which, by the way, is already in itself too big? So, see, if you've ever heard the term narrow your market niche where you want to sell, that's how it works. So you have to make sure that you narrow that niche down and you're paying attention to much smaller. I said inside of Lake Norman, give me 1,000 sales, Chris and Josh. Where would that be? Where would that be? Is there a name for it?
1,000 sales. I don't know, Chris.
Give me an area. I mean, I know you don't.
Huntersville, Concord, Cornelius, Davidson.
No, what is that? All of them? Do I have to go to all of those places to get to 1,000?
I don't know.
All right, cool. So you see where I'm going. We just want to be these great salespeople, and we're not strategic about how does that happen. Okay? This is a very, very...
I'm talking about a huge geographic area.
Yeah, correct. So was I. And it's the biggest mistake as a salesperson I ever made, was not being strategic about how would I get them in a smaller area. In fact, I can make a case that some of my competitors...
No, I said we're not... I said we're not talking about a big geographic area.
Okay, good. So you have a lot of transactions in a small area, which makes it even easier. But watch this. I'm just going to give you a marketing example that leads to sales, because I want you all to understand you can't sell something if you don't understand the genesis of your opportunity. If you're getting leads, any of you, and you don't know how they're birthed, come on. Like that's a responsibility as a salesperson that you have. You've got to know how this thing got birthed. All right? So if we don't know what the ad says and how they were converted, and all these lead companies want to tell you, oh, that's proprietary to us. What? I'm going to pay you thousands and you're not going to fish where I want to fish? Great. Don't tell me how you do it, but don't send me another lead that takes me out of X area. Okay? And I sound passionate about this because you know how I feel, guys. You're drowning, all of you, in marketing concepts that don't work unless there's a strategy to them. So now let's come fast forward. Now you're doing expireds. Guess what you can do with those? Not leave the specific area. The fix on Boomtown, because I know Google AdWords myself and targeted marketing, if you run an area that says Lake Norman, you can also do what's called an ad extension. So whatever agency, whether it's internal or external for Boomtown, Sync, Market Leader, whatever it might be, all of these companies, all they have to be told is, look, run it for Lake Norman, but then put Huntersville, boom, 3, you can put 4 ad extensions at the bottom. So now all of a sudden, when somebody wants to search homes in Lake Norman, they're now limited to that area that you defined that you really, really want. You following me?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here, Danny.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's ways to get these leads to be opportunities for sales in the very specific spot that you want. That's how this works, right? Now with expireds, it's really clear. There it is, right in that area, and those are our priorities. We call them, we mail them, we door knock them, we tackle them until they tell us to go away, there's no opportunity, or yes, come on over, or yes, follow up with me. That's it. It's just that simple. And so to get back to the 250, now all we have to do is, what do you think the blended rate is, Chris? What do you think you get? And remember, because I publicize this and I give this away, I want to state very clearly, we only talk about commissions for the sake of example, not to fix them, because that's an antitrust violation. But there is a reality to your business that you can share. What blended rate did you, in fact, receive over the last year or back further? Now, you might not know that, so we might have to guesstimate it. I found out that mine was 2.77, okay, on what Laura was involved with me on. It goes up maybe a little bit from there, but 2.77 was the real blended rate for me. What was yours?
I'm going to say it's damn close to 3.
Okay, good. So again, because you know in Lake Norman, it tends to be pretty consistently there. So let's go with 2.9, okay? What is the average sale in the area? And you could give me all of Lake Norman, but that's 5,000 transactions. I'd rather have it somewhere else, but I'll take that for now. What is the average sale in Lake Norman?
I tried to look up that average sale after I watched the
Yep.
video from yesterday, Danny.
Yep.
And I don't know how to manipulate the data in the ML.
Okay.
When it gets over a certain number, it won't let us do what I want to do. I need some more training on that.
Yeah, good. So
I tried to look that number up this morning.
So Chris, right after the call, pick up the phone and call MLS. It's that important to you, Josh, Charlene, and anybody.
Yeah.
Because here's what you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. I'm teaching you how to be average. I need you to get there first before I can help you be extraordinary. Okay? And the reason I'm saying that is a lot of you haven't given this thought. And what you don't realize is you're performing below average from a commission standpoint. A lot of you that know me come to me through lead gen platforms or lead generation in general, and you've heard words like distress sale, foreclosures, and all this, okay? You've been indoctrinated to think that you need to throw blood in the water to attract business so that you can sell and make a living. You're wrong. It's better to be a good observer of how the business actually works, right? So when you take a look at Timmy, I'll look at that in 1 second. Hang on. I'll answer his question. But when you look at this in this area, Cape Cod, I was always doing tremendous amounts of transactions, okay? You guys know my resume. You can look it up if you don't know it. I did really well, I thought, until I really started to look at the money and saying, my gosh, my average sale is well below the average Cape Cod sale because I went for volume, because I sold myself on the anecdote that that was the only thing that was really open and wide open. There wasn't a lot of competition, whereas I could have always done something blended. And I'm just as good as anybody, I believe in my mind, at this business, especially at ultra luxury or luxury. So we started to change that formula because we looked at this and said, come on, with everything that we know, why aren't we at least at the average commission on Cape Cod, which was in the 4s? So you start to look at that and you say, okay, let's just set it based on average and let's start to move that up. Well, suffice to say, as time's gone on and the models change and everything's working that way, we are moving away from a lower average sale into at least what Cape Cod's average is. And the more volume you do, you tend towards average unless you only focus on luxury. So as we move up, we'll go through average and now start to move well above average. And that's what matters. Because if you want to get to the 250, and you're going to keep repeating the same patterns of behavior, allowing some company run you all ragged and get a lower end property on a regular basis, you're stuck. You two follow me?
Yes.
Everybody else follow me?
I'm picking up what you put down.
Yeah, I hope everybody else is following me. This is everybody. The biggest mistake you made is chart the wrong course for 2018 based on simple math. Okay? Now, somebody's got to do the math for me. So we have GCI of 250. We have a blended rate of, I'm going to use 2.9, Chris. I'm not going to give you the full 3. So we also have an average sale that we're going to make a guesstimate, which I hate, but give it to me. What is it?
Between 350 and 450.
Okay, I'll take the 4. So for sake of argument, but I want a real rounded.
Would you agree, Josh?
It's probably more towards the 350, but yeah, I would agree.
Okay, hold on. That's interesting. Did you say 350 because that's what you've done? Like, think about your best competitors. Think about 2 or 3 of them. What do you think their average commission is? People that you aspire to compete with. What do you think they do?
In commission, my competitors?
Yeah. Average sale. Average sale. What's their average sale price? Do they sell 350 homes or do they sell 450,000?
No, I think it'd be lower than 350.
You think your best competitors sell lower than you?
My best? Oh,
Yeah.
I just thought you were saying competitors. My best? No, I think my best would be, they're probably well above 450.
There you go,
They're doing
brother.
$1 million homes.
That's all I want to hear. That's all I want to hear. I want to get in your head to say you should be looking at the best professionals in Lake Norman. That's who you should be looking at because we're talking about sales goals and how you then have a very clear action plan to measure against for 12 months. Okay? Because it's simple. So here we go. I'm going to take the 400. Somebody take 400 and divide it by 0.029. 0.029. I need some math here. I'm sorry, multiply it.
400.
Yeah, 400 times your rate. I need an average commission that we can expect. So 0.029 times 4.
Times what, Danny?
Yeah, 0.029 times $400,000.
11,600.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Forgot I had you there with the calculator. 11,600. Now take that number and divide it into 250,000.
That's 0.0464.
That sounds like 47 sides to me. But it doesn't sound right. That math doesn't sound right. 250,000 divided by 11,600. Is that right?
Divided by 11600. 21, so it's at 21.5.
There you go. You need to do 21. You have to do 21 and a half, 22 deals to reach your goal. Now, does that sound hard with 2 people who could each go out and hit 11? Do you see how I got you there? And it didn't take me more than 38 minutes, right? Not even. About 35 minutes it took me to get you there.
That's all I had to do.
What do you mean?
I'm doing like 30-something.
Yeah. Yeah, so what's wrong?
Just to get to 100,000.
So what's wrong? So what's wrong? Help him out. Everybody. Where is everybody today? Help this guy out. You're all in the same boat. Help him out. What's wrong? I only have to have this guy do 22 deals next year in Lake Norman at an average sale of 400, which we believe is only the average in Lake Norman. Chris, go into the computer again and get a smaller batch of data for one of those smaller areas. There's got to be an average sale. Okay? Well, we're on the phone call if you're in front of the computer.
Give it to you today.
Yeah, okay. So we only have to do 22 deals at a blended rate of 2.9%, okay? That gives us an 11.6. That's what we have to do. This is simple math. And again, remember the benchmark here, go less. Chris, you gave me a blended rate of 2.9. Mine was actually 2.77, my blended rate of the commission that I made. That was my blended rate, okay? So when I'm doing my own sales training, my own sales goals, I look at that as that's a real number. I'm not making that up, okay?
Hey, Danny.
Hey, George, hang on one second. That mic was a little hot. I'll come back to you. I know you're there now. So you see where I'm going, guys? Why are you doing 30 deals to get to 100? I'm scratching my head. I mean, is that right? You did 30 sides to get to 100?
At least.
All right, that's something's
33. Charlene's saying we did, and we're just over 100,000.
okay. So what's your average commission? I'm talking gross into the building, before splits and all that. I'm hitting that first. We can worry about all that other stuff later, but I'm saying gross. You sold X that came into the team and it gets all split up. I'm looking for gross. Gross, just
You're asking before.
yeah, because 100 after splits, nothing wrong with that. That sounds like you got up there somewhere. But here's what I'm asking. I'm not even asking that. What is your personal average commission? Not after splits. This is before. You have to run this like a real business. What is the commission before splits? That's how we start.
What is our average commission before splits?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I would be guessing here, Danny, instead of really digging into the numbers, which
Yeah, good.
I guess I should know.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm going to say, what do you think?
Whoop, you broke up. Say again.
Charlene's saying 6,000 to 8,000.
Okay. So you see the difference? That's the only point I'm trying to make here, is that if we have a commission, a gross commission, that we were able to go out and garner off of a sale at 8, yet the geography that we're working in is giving an average of 11.6. Maybe it's a little less. That is a huge per transaction gap between you and average. You are below average performance per trade by $3,600 based on the math that was given to me today. Now that needs to be tweaked and tightened. Take 3,600 and divide it by 8,000. What do you get? 3,600 divided by 8,000. What percentage is 36 of 8? Somebody. Doug, where are you? Somebody.
0.45.
All right, you are 45% below average. You want to now go in the bathroom and throw up? Thank you, Michael, by the way.
No, I don't want to do that. I want to. That just makes me want to do better.
Yeah, but you got to here's the point at the end of the year as we approach the last 2 weeks. If you go and do the same things you did last year and you expect a different result, it will only come from working your face off harder. If you do not change your strategy, you will give more of your life away to the game, and I will not let you do that on my watch. That is not the point of getting a smarter business built. We are strategic here at the TRC. I don't care what level you're at. You could be brand new, or you could be in the business for 15 years and struggling and figuring out what's wrong. It's because we don't think about this strategically. And there's not one thing I said today that isn't basic, simple math. Right? Am I wrong? Anybody?
Right.
Okay. So let's get some more involvement here. George, I'm going to come back to you. You had a question or a comment. Go ahead, George.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I'm
Yep.
making sure
Yep.
I
Yep.
pulled
Much
myself
better.
off Bluetooth.
Yep. Thanks.
Yeah, I was just going to make a comment because my average sale price, running through this is not near the number that he's at.
Yep.
And I'm at that level, 100 grand, actually it'd be 150 is my target goal.
Sure.
And I'm looking at like $150,000 to $180,000 sale homes. That's the volume that I can do. So it's either a commission, which I know a lot of us get into that, whatever we're going to do to take the deal. But I've come to realize that when you hit them with enough information and you're solid about what you're providing, that they accept your commission. If you're willing to take or negotiate a half a point off versus taking a whole point.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that you got to stand firm and be willing to take, walk away from the listing because they're not going to pay you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So stop. So hold on, George. Georgie, hold on. I want to keep the real important part of what you're saying and cut off all the fat. Okay. The most important part of what you said to me was that you had a gross income goal.
We lost you.
You lost me? Can you hear me? Hello, check. Hang on.
There you go.
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes Skype cuts in. There's a little dead spot there. So here we go. And Timmy and Michael and everybody else online, I will answer some of your questions up there too. I know you guys are on the Facebook broadcast. I'll scroll back and get those too here while I'm with George. George, you have a clear goal. It's $150,000. You have to go back now and do the same simple math. And I know you missed the mastermind yesterday, but it's up in the group. You can go back and listen like Chris did. Go back and do the simple math. But what you all have to do to get smelling salts is really say, and Timmy's up there in the Facebook group telling me that he's in North San Diego County and he's thinking of this, and there's 14,000 transactions. I mean, it's absurd to think that we could even consider marketing ourselves. That's the ultimate fly speck in the ocean. Even 5,000 in Lake Norman, it's the fly speck in the ocean. You have to get down to an area. I live in a town called Barnstable that has 46,000 year-round residents and over 1,000 transactions plus or minus. I'm waiting for my real fresh numbers to come in for 15 and 16, and I'll be able to really share those with you and see what improvement over recessionary times like 12 and 14. Let's see what's happening. Is it going up? But even to be here, it's bizarre. I have people say, well, you're a South Side broker, not a North Side. It's like bizarre how people see this business, right? They don't understand where George just went. There is a unique selling proposition that we have. We have a strategic approach to what we do. It's a plan. We're not making it up. And in the digital age, truth be told, if you guys wanted to fly me in to North Carolina or Indiana, Michigan, then I would come in there with the same plan. And as long as I had access to MLS for my pricing, I would 100% be able to sell that house better than most agents in that marketplace. Why? The plan is proven and it works everywhere. So let's get into that. The reason why we drift downriver when we're new or we're non-strategic is because it seems or feels easier to do that business. We make this perception, oh, I could never do luxury. Well, why not? Who told? Well, because that guy owns that. Really? There's not a bunch of people that own the business at the lower end? There's good agents at every tranche of finance in this business. Just think about them in your marketplaces. I know some people that do a lot of business at the lower end, middle end, high end, and ultra. I know them all. I know who they are. So it's up to me to make a choice. Why wouldn't I want to? Now there is a balance. Let me give the caveat here so you don't get caught up in this tripping point. You have to do the homework in MLS and do it by category. In my world, I'll pull up my mind map here so I give you exactly what we looked at for those levels. But the point is, we look at tranches for that. So the first thing that we do is we choose this area and we decide, okay, we're going to do to market into, not sell, boys, okay? You could go, and by the way, ladies, I should be hearing from you too. You go into these areas where you want to sell based on a reasonable market where you can be victorious. You can't make a living where there's 50 sales a year. You can make a living where there's 14,000, but you ought to call up Goldilocks and find out where the bet is just right. Okay? And I consulted Goldilocks. So let me tell you what to do. Find the 1,000 or so transactions. It's enough. I'm sorry, sales, because then there's double the transactions. That's a great spot that you work in. Now, inside that 1,000, how many were, and you might only have 3 categories, but since we're on Cape Cod with beautiful, fantastic waterfront stuff, we can get a category of ultra luxury. Let's call that 2.5 and above. We can get luxury. Let's call that 750 to up to 2.5. Then we can go move up. So we can go somewhere about 400 to 750, and then we can go entry level 200 to 400. So we have that benefit of living in a place where 200 is, in my marketplace, the lowest end. So I have that monetary benefit, but we don't have a swinging metropolis where things turn over quickly. So there's always a balance in all your markets you'll find. And after all these years of coaching you guys and everybody else that I've coached, I find looking into all these markets absolutely matter. Okay, so if you live in a place where there's lower income, there tends to be more people and more turnover. Okay, I've been coaching the O'Connors in Wisconsin, where they do a lot of really bread and butter sales, and they do 230 transactions. If you heard, they're like, oh, I could never do that. Yes, there you could, and you would need to. Whereas if you're with Gail Rossetti in Palo Alto, you might do the same volume on 30 transactions. I know, sounds crazy. Math tells you the story. Use your darn MLS access and go in there and use the math. Look at the math. That's what you're paying for. It's stupid simple. Okay? So, George, you got to do your math, because now you're saying, all right, you're touching on this, and I don't know if this is where you were going, but I'm going to try to root it out. You're saying a lot of salesy stuff that was kind of like Josh first said. I go in and I just get them talking. Not on my watch, you don't. You go in and you have a strategic approach. You walk in and you say, would it be okay if we took a tour of the property so I know the product we're talking about? So that when I relate it to my strategy, we're specific about your individual case. Sure. Okay. I say, let's go for the nickel tour if you don't mind. Great. They take me through, and what that allows me to see in the very beginning is what condition are they in? So am I talking about a below average property, average, or above? No matter what the price tranche, if it's $1 million, I still have to deal with condition. Is it in trouble, average, or knocked out? So it's the same business at every level. But guys, to both of you, there shouldn't be this intellectual insecurity when you're hanging around with me when you walk in there, because you have a 7-point strategic plan. So you don't need to be unbelievably good like Charlene is at walking in and talking about how to stage. You could say, look, once we get started, I bring Charlene in because she's unbelievable at seeing a space once we get started. And she says, whatever she says, well, he's super good at negotiation, so when we get there, he will oversee the negotiation. Now I'm in 2 houses, and I'm expressing my teammates' strength and how it will be part of a strategy. Not that I brought her or you in together to tip them to say, yes, I don't need that. I need my strategy to be real. I need it to be good. And ultimately, then it will become proven, and you'll have the evidence. Both of you guys, George and Josh, you should never, ever leave this conversation today and be the same person, right? Never, never. No matter where you are, when you have that conversation with buyers or sellers, your unique selling proposition is you have a clear, stepped plan, and it's professional. 7 for sellers, 6 for buyers, and you should get that over and over and over. That alleviates the need to have these strengths patchworked together. You guys with me?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, questions? Thoughts? What are you guys all thinking? Everybody else on the call too, speak up.
Okay, Danny,
Yep.
this class today, paired with how you coached yesterday, is just everything I need to master. So thank you so much. I love it.
You bet, brother.
And thank you for making it so easy to understand.
Yeah, but you're also an anecdote too for these guys, because you got in a point where you were really up against it and you had to get strategic quickly. And I want you to give them that hope. I always use you as that example because Doug goes out with this strategic approach and the concierge giving attitude, so he's not attached to the sale, and he gets a, what was it, a $1.7 million house?
Yeah, 1.75.
Okay. It would have been very easy for you at that moment in time to say, well, I just got to go get paid and I'm just going to go do 300. Instead, the guy tucks all that revenue when he really needs it into one big deal. So I think that's important. Hey, by the way, Michael Fox online, Timmy, I think I covered what you had, but Michael Fox put something up here that said concentrating on volume and average sale. I don't know if it was a statement or a question intended, but let me go back to that, George, for a second, because one of the things, and Josh too, I don't love this. My brother says it to me too. There's this kind of weird speak in our industry about, I want to do 25 million. And I just heard it in the construction business too from one of my buddies who I just took care of. He referred to another company doing X number of millions. And it's like, well, who cares what number of millions as the first beat? Isn't it really about revenue, then expenses, and then most important, what'd you keep?
Right.
That's everything, right?
Yeah, I'm more interested in GCI.
Yeah. So
So
GCI.
I've changed that mindset, and I even argue with agents. I don't care what you do when you. I mean, if they really get bullish with me, I'm like, would you 1099 then?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Because you can do $20 million in business, but if you 1099 50,000, you did something really wrong.
yeah. I know a lot of teams that do over $1 million that don't make anywhere near as much money as I know some agents with some leverage of systems and people and obviously a marketing and conversion strategy that net far more money. Don't get sucked into what you perceive is the nonsense of how this business works. The math does not lie in any business. And the better quality of the math, the reality of it, not lying about it, not knowing it. My goal is here just to raise the standard of simple math understanding. It's nothing complicated. This is 5th grade, 6th grade math, whatever it is, right? That's all you have to know to master the obvious. So, all right, does anybody want to feel the need? Because guys, I can teach you role play and strategic approach all you want. And we do it week after week after week. But if you don't know why you're doing that as it relates to your financial goal and how that simple formula, every time something closes, oh no, I'm off the goal. Oh, great. I got one above the goal. My blended rate is moving up. You can do that every time throughout 2018 to see if you're there or you're off. And then you come screaming into Campfire bi-weekly with those questions on how to run your business. And you come here and saying, I went into a luxury. I got there. I did what you said. And I got smoked because the other guy had a super big resume. No problem. You'll lose those. And the perception is this. So here's what I would begin to do. I would begin to be the marketplace's really good plan B. Because guess what a lot of people that are even really good do? They don't get the right price. Even if they're good and they try to get it like me, you don't always have a seller who listens to the adjustments. So there are plenty of expireds that you can follow up on. All right. So do we need to do some role playing or do you guys want to, because I'll go a little bonus time here today because I thought that was so important. I dominated the call with it, but let's shift gears a little bit. And my ladies from Michigan, you had a little special training this week on similar stuff. Any comments there? If you guys are there, I see a Michigan line. I just don't know who I have. Leslie.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, I'm here. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And it's really nice as I'm coming into this to prepare myself and start to look at numbers and have a clear vision of where I want to go versus just kind of floundering around in the market and then figuring this out much later in my career. So I really appreciate all this advice, and I've been Googling different areas and trying to find out the stats for those specific areas. So it's been really helpful.
Cool. Do you feel a little less apt to be chasing the shiny object or solution? I mean, because that was my goal with you. I mean, again, I have no insecurity. There are a lot of people that are in coaching training and technology companies included that might have a decent solution that fits into your strategy and your plan. But I just don't want you all suckered in by marketers who are not going to tell you how this fits into the strategy and aren't strong enough to tell you, look, this is what we do. We're a lead generation company. We can help you really focus on this. But if you don't have some sort of a conversion process, then our leads won't matter to you. That would be a really good vendor, somebody bold enough to speak like that. But unfortunately, most don't. And I think it's because they have the same problem. They don't really understand how the entire business works. So I wanted you to hopefully be graduating out of that. I don't want you to be a sucker, Lisa. You know what I mean?
Well, and I don't want to chase shiny objects for sure, and I'm very prudent with the money that I am going to spend, but I do want to send you a link and get your advice about it. And there's a couple of reasons of why I think it could be beneficial, why I think it fits with my plan, and becoming a better agent. But again, your advice would be really helpful.
Sure.
It's not something that I have to continue. I can get out of this.
Sure.
But I think it would be best just to show you and give you a brief explanation of it before
I'm super happy to do
so
that.
I'll do that. I'll shoot you an email and send you what I've got, and just, if you don't mind taking a look at it and then saying yay, nay.
I'm super happy to do that. Let me give the starting advice, though. Anytime any of you, and it's best to post it if you're a member of a team and you have access to Campfire, or you're a mastermind member, it's always best to put it in the private group, because I might be able to go much deeper here and on training calls. If you're eavesdropping, put it in the TRC main page. It's public. Everybody can see it, and I'll answer it there. But here's what I would say is best practices. And George, you were kind of there with Josh. The most important thing to think is low tech. And if I were broke, and I would do this, and you know, Doug, you were basically broke when you went through this transition, right? Fair enough? Right? I mean, again, let's be transparent.
Yes, I was basically broke.
Okay, good. So
when I took that $1.75 million listing, it's about probably about 40 miles away from where I live, and I didn't have a car.
Okay, you listen to that, Lisa? You hear that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay,
I love it.
it is awesome.
Oh, yeah. Lisa, it's just a hilarious story. I had like this zip car, and I had to sell some things in order to have the zip car for the 3 hours it took to drive out there and back. You know, so
that's dedication, and I love it.
Well, it's better than
hold on. They didn't know that I didn't have a dime.
Yeah, it's better than dedication. What it is what I coached him to be: resourceful. I said, Doug, be resourceful. Right? Tony Robbins has that line all over all his work. The number one resource we have is our resourcefulness. It is not the ability to take money that we may or may not have and spend it on something else to buy that resource. We are the best resource we have. Okay? So what that means is, let's all take the broke paradigm first and say, if I were broke today, in spite of the fact that I do have some money, a credit card that I could leverage, okay? Because I think they both can work. But I'd rather you thought from the bottom up. If I were broke, what I would do is get my bicycle and I would put my 2 strategic plans in my knapsack, and I would, especially on the sell side, drive my bike to every single expired or for sale by owner. And I'll tell you the different strategies. On the expired, I'd go right at the solution that I think is better, and that I am so hungry I came here on my bike. I will open house you every single weekend for multiple hours, and I will work this thing like a rented mule until I get you the feedback that's required to get it sold. Okay? That requires me to spend nothing, and it is highly effective. I do it to this very day. Next, okay, once I got a yes, and FSBOs, I don't love them. I think FSBOs don't have an orientation to even considering us at a level until you really go through a lot of pain and suffering. I think you have probates and expireds. I would definitely start there. But all of that is easily done when I give you and say, geez, you're broke. Take this compass. It's called a strategic plan in the form of a 1-page 5th grade level understanding of an infographic, and bring it to these people and begin to have this discussion with these people that you have a strategy, even though you're broke. Okay. There's been many people that have been broke that acted as if they weren't and brought a better solution through their need than people who have money. Okay. A lot of people have money, can spend it on marketing, make it up. Yeah, you'll be in my magazine. Sure, you'll be in the Sunday paper. Sure, you'll be in the Wall Street Journal. All the crap that people say when they get lazy. It's not strategic. You can beat them when you're broke. You can beat them when you're broke. You can beat them when you're broke. Okay. Remember that. And how is by being strategic and expressing it through what nobody cut out yet was your tongue. And just learning that basic and going over it and lifting them up by being helpful with that piece of information. Putting the right order in the right information. Small business people fail, in my opinion, primarily not because they didn't have the money and the economy went sideways. They weren't resourceful. That's why. They just ran out of resources. Watch Tony, go Google Tony Robbins chastising, can't even remember his name, just Vice President Gore, okay, for not being resourceful, right? Because he makes a quip and a joke at a TED Talk. I didn't have enough votes, Supreme Court votes. And Tony hits him. He says, no, you just weren't resourceful enough. It's awesome. It's powerful. I'll never forget watching it for the first time. Same to you. Stop making excuses and thinking you're going to buy your way to success first. Now, having said that, if you think there's a medium through which, like, see, when I hear that, Leslie, like, well, how is your plan different from my plan? That's the first thing I was thinking when you said that, right? So for a sales plan for 2018, give me the narrative on what you were thinking behind the tool that you want my opinion on. Tell me what you were thinking.
So my main thoughts are, as a realtor, I want to be known as knowledgeable in my field
Yep.
and a resource where they can come to me for information. That's the main thing.
Okay.
So this would be a tool that would provide that. And the good thing about it is it can be used with listing appointments or FSBOs or just as a general, if I drive traffic to it to get people to find out the free value of their home.
Yeah.
So then it would generate more leads for me. So there's really three main avenues I foresee as this being, a good possibility. And just as a business myself, or a business owner myself, there is a point where you do need to spend money on marketing, but you have to do it wisely. And I realize that. And I don't know if this is the right way, the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's a trial and error thing.
Yeah.
But I also, I'm a firm believer of don't spend more money than your business is pushing you to spend, but figuring out where to spend that and generate the most amount of income.
Yeah. For salespeople, so you're talking about a tool which sounds more like a website lead capture kind of combo to me, okay? And there's a lot of people in that business, all sorts of people, right? A lot. That's a very, very Me Too business where everybody wants to sell a lead gen platform and pass it off as the thing that will build your business. It will not, but it will enhance it. And some of that is definitely necessary to build your business. Look, at the mastermind level, what I coach these guys on, and we did it yesterday, if they're spending a percentage that's greater than 10% of their gross when they get up to these kind of numbers, let's say 250 to a million and above, you're definitely into a very sophisticated situation with people that are agents working with you. Okay. But my experience is that from 400 to $1 million, you really should be looking at not being more than plus or minus 10%. Why? Because to get to the 4 to $1 million, you're spending money on a lot of other things in business. So all of you that are agents and all of you that are team members, the only difference is those people have done what you're asking me about. They have added leverage through marketing tools, technology tools. Not going to expand into a business without having expenditures, sales, and administrative costs, broker costs, all these things. They're all part of the business. So you're right. But here's my caveat. I heard yet again, right in front of me, you start to say things about what makes you unique. So content makes you unique, right? That's what makes you unique. And what makes you even more unique than that is how you express that content. If you and Doug live next to each other in the brokerage, and I give you a framework for content in the form of 2 infographics, and I send you out to the same house, what makes you each unique is the way you express the universal concept. But if you think that you're going to go out and successfully market you as some sort of an information guru without having an information or content marketing strategy, you will waste your money. There's just no doubt about it. I'm not guessing at that. I am positive, right? I'll go 99% 9.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Yep.
And that's why I'm here working with you,
Yep.
is because I need to start at the foundational level and build up my base of knowledge and all of that. But I also, at some point, need to incorporate tools.
Okay, here's your
and
tools.
Even though talking with Paul, some of those tools might already be available to me that I wasn't aware of.
Sure.
So trying to figure that out.
Well, let's go for the salespeople that need tools. I'm going to give you 2 that are incredibly free and have massive markets. What am I going to tell you they are? It's right in front of you guys every day. What am I going to tell you for salespeople to get their message out? They're massive platforms and they're free. Massive platforms and they're free. And there's 2 of them.
I think Facebook was one.
Yep, keep going. You got 1 or 2.
I don't know. I'm so not a social media person. So I would guess it's some other form of social media.
If you did a video of what your unique selling proposition is, and you did it in a minute, it's your elevator speech, and that's what every salesperson should do, okay? You could put that video up on the two major channels, the equivalent of ABC and NBC. What are they? Facebook is one. What is the other one?
YouTube.
You got it.
YouTube.
You got it. You got it. And how much do they cost you to do that? 0.
Nothing.
Right.
Now, to push them around that unique selling proposition as, and again, your unique selling proposition includes the words, I am a strategic professional and I approach these things X, Y, and Z, and I want you to get to recognize me as the go-to person for XYZ market. Now that commercial is up for free. You did it on your cell phone, which has an incredibly good camera. You bought a cheap tripod like the one I have holding my phone up because it works perfectly. And you did that video and you looked in there and you did 15 takes until you got it right, if that's the way you are, or one take like I do, right? And you got it up there and you put it up as the featured video on your Facebook page and your free YouTube channel. And then you learned from me how to push that message around on Facebook as an ad to that marketplace and let it just run for peanuts. Now we're spending the correct money to get you immediately in front of the marketplace saying what you're unique about. Same thing, a little bit more complicated, but not really, on YouTube. The ability to take that same video, upload it there as your featured video on your free YouTube channel and use Google AdWords to push that around the same geography. So if I am on ABC or NBC, aka the new television channels in my local marketplace, if I'm on those two and I'm being beaten around and my goal was to get my brand out there and my USP, I've done it for peanuts, almost free.
What do you say would spend per month on doing that with the Google AdWords and doing, the Facebook ads?
I'll look in my Google AdWords account because I already do it. Mine's a little bit more complicated where I've taken the strategic plan, broken it down into 7 videos, and I actually push those around. So I practice what I preach. So
Right.
this is already happening. So if I go in there, let me just see if I can get some of the videos and see here's one. So the Ask Griffin show, I have spent $73 in the last, since October 16th. Let me fix this. Let me give you a freshie. Let me give you last month. Okay. And I'm going a little bonus time here because I think a lot of you are lost on this stuff and you're going to blow your brains out thinking that you're going to become the next marketing guru. Been there, done that. Seen a lot of people go broke doing it, and there's no need. So,
well, and I also understand how much it costs to put up a website or develop something like that. So if I can buy into that at a fraction of a cost,
you can.
It makes sense to me.
Yep.
But only as long as it fits all the other parameters.
Yeah, but think about a website. It's a fly speck in the ocean. Whether it's Market Leader for $99 a month, Boomtown for many, more thousands of dollars because they do X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. So what? Until you understand how it fits into getting you your financial goal. If you don't connect it to that, you're wasting your money. Why? Because even if that platform works to get you what it said it would, if you don't have a way to manage what it gets, you've wasted your money. Okay? And it'll be very, very disheartening. And I don't want to see that. I have plenty of time on the campfire calls to go over that. Let's just leave it at that. So the next thing is, the budgets that I spend to beat that around is about $75 a month. And that gets, I got to get to the views here. I'll see if I can get to the views quickly. It's an enormous amount of video views. It's mind blowing. And on YouTube, they will not tell you it's a video view unless somebody watches it for how long? How long? Anybody know? Anybody know what a video view is before you pay for it on YouTube?
I don't.
Anybody on this call know? Anybody? Mastermind members, you have no clue?
Nope.
Wow. 30 seconds. They have to watch it for 30 seconds to be counted as a view. And from November 1st to November 30th, I got, on my testimonials video for $75, 1,440 views. I got for the strategic plan, 1,187 views. 62.
So does that mean if you post a video for less than 30 seconds, you wouldn't have to pay for it?
Yes, on Google. Now on Facebook, a little trickier. Okay, on Facebook it's a little trickier.
Danny?
Hold on. On Facebook, it's only 3 seconds. Okay, still works, but it's only 3 seconds. So I'm teaching you something about how to get your unique selling proposition as a salesperson out there through these channels. The purpose of marketing is to get you more opportunities for sales. That's how they work together. Marketing precedes the sale, right? That's just how it works. And so I'm not going to argue the ins and outs of marketing and salespeople. Everybody say they don't agree. I know why they don't agree, because the salespeople wants to run out and sell something, and the marketing people want to have a strategy that builds a brand. Somewhere in the middle is the right answer. Yeah, who did I cut off there that had a question for me?
No, not at all. This is Leslie, and I do have a question because you talk about push marketing, but I'm not exactly sure what that means.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. In the USP of the 7 steps, after I've talked about the pricing range, how to improve your property through conditioning that's low to no cost, and pricing out the big items if you can't afford them, staging, I arrive at marketing. And until then, if I walk through the door, and this is how you can beat people that aren't strategic. They walk through the door talking about our brand and, this office from Connecticut and all this nonsense that does not sell a house. I walk in and say, that's not how the business works. Sure, my brand might have gotten me here, but it doesn't sell your property. Sure, I have a gorgeous website, but if I don't push your property, it's not going to sell. So I'm talking about pushing you around in this context, Leslie. So I'm telling her to do her unique selling proposition around what we teach, in her words, in her way, around these 2 mega channels for dirt cheap. Then you're asking me another question that makes me think, oh, she's asking me in the context of listings. We tell a lister that, look, syndication marketing, once we get all that ready and we memorialize this beautiful digital footprint, meaning what? Pro photography, floor plans, drones, 3D walkthroughs, whatever you're going to do. That goes into MLS once, and it syndicates to the world. But you just became a fly speck in the ocean. So what I have to do is get off my duff, and I have to push you around. So now go back to the very same Google and YouTube. You take the virtual tour that you can have made for you, even if it's too expensive. You can go to Upwork and have somebody take your digital stills and make a YouTube video. Throw that same video up on ABC and NBC, Facebook and YouTube, and push that around to get traffic. Now, if you have a website where you're featuring the property, and I'm supposing that's where Lisa's going with this, if you can bring traffic back through those platforms to that, you have pushed this thing around, in addition to your hustle with open houses. There's the simplest description I can give you.
One other thing you said, once it's on MLS, then it automatically goes to
syndicates.
Realtor.com.
Correct.
It's a bunch of sites as well. Is that right? Redfin.
It's called
Zillow.
Leslie. It's called.
And nothing gets uploaded automatically. That all has to be manually put in by someone, either yourself or an assistant.
Okay, that shouldn't be right. I don't agree with that. You should call your MLS and say, how do I auto syndicate this to the web? Because there's usually a button that will allow you to do so. Okay? Because syndication marketing is the fog the mirror way that real estate agents market. We are members of the multiple listing service. Every time we put content, aka listings, active listings in there, we put it in there and it syndicates. How do you think Zillow thrives? Off of us. How do you think Trulia survives? Off of us. Okay? They all survive and thrive. Redfin is different. They are a brokerage. So they have active MLS relationships. They just happen to be a discounter. Okay? So I'm not wowed by any of those companies per se, to the extent that they've just done a better job of syndicating content realtors kill themselves to get and put in MLS. And yet we don't even understand that. Here I am explaining it to you. It's called syndication marketing. Anytime you see RSS, that stands for really simple syndication. So aggregation softwares go into MLS, pull it, and put it up on Redfin, Zillow, Trulia, and all your competitors' sites. That's how they have content, right? That's how this game works. Now, That's a fly speck in the ocean. And all those sites don't care about your listing. They're using it to their benefit. If they can use your listing to get their buyers and sell them yours or something else, they do that. So you need to have the concept of how are you going to push this product around yourself? Well, the obvious is you're going to go do open houses, which I've been training Birmingham Realty to get off their tails and go do it for Paul's so they could kick in their own business. But for Paul, I'm saying, look, you got to take all these listings and put them into a pool of videos on Facebook and YouTube and start pushing them around. Where would you drive the traffic to? If you had a website like thegriffin.co, you would see what I do with our properties when we do that marketing. We drive the traffic back to our website so that we can control the high resolution digital experience and give a much better experience than some flunky site that just not stole it because I give it, but took it and syndicated it. That's how it works.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Cool. And ladies, I'll teach you more on everybody in the campfire. Okay, way over time today, but it's the end of the year and there's nothing more important than understanding this because you will get very, very much caught up in not knowing how to get business. You get the sales techniques. You get it. Okay. Buyer and seller infographics. You walk in, you repeat these steps in your way. And the more you become an expert, you're able to deeper dive into each one. But a rookie to a veteran can use that. However, I know what you're thinking, Lisa, and I appreciate it. You're going, okay, well, great, but how? Okay. So I'm giving you the lowest cost how between your sphere of influence and telling them about your strategies via all your social channels. And you better know social. Don't say that again after this call. You better know social if you want to go get business because what you're doing by buying anything that's hosted on the web is you're getting social, right? You're getting social. It's the web. See, social is kind of a misnomer. The web is where business is emanating from and being proliferated. We need to understand in the context of our business how that works. ABC and NBC, Facebook and YouTube and your website or whatever it is you're going to ask me about. If you use marketing vehicles of social, the purpose is to bring them back to your website to give an excellent experience, the best one you can get. And we'll get into that in Campfire, okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Have an awesome weekend. You guys rock. Thanks for hanging in there for the OT. Good work. See you next time.
Thank you, Danny.
You bet. Go practice this.
Thanks, Danny.
You bet, guys.
Thanks, Danny.
Take care. Have a great afternoon. Bye, guys online. Thanks for being here.